Concrete mix for footings. What is a footing? Factors affecting concrete mix or the concrete grade. How to determine the concrete mix or the concrete grade. Best concrete mix for the footings. All those will be discussed today. I am Prasad from Structural Guide. Please subscribe our YouTube channel. You may get the notification on new videos. What is a footing? Footing is a kind of foundation that is constructed for small scale structures. It is mostly individual footing. That footing may be considered as a combined footing, strip footings, also kind of footings that we use in the construction. Depending on the nature of structure and applied load and the ground conditions, the type of the footing will be selected. Factors affecting the concrete grade or the concrete mix. Exposure conditions. Exposure conditions related to the ground soil conditions, groundwater conditions, groundwater in the environment, then environmental conditions that the structure is exposed. All those need to be considered. Now, when you talk about the ground soil, now there may be uh, soil having aggressive chemicals. So those we have to consider when you select in the concrete grade. Groundwater, there may be harmful chemicals like chloride, sulfate in the water. So those we have to consider. Then the environmental conditions. Now, when the structure is built coastal sea, there are aggressive. It is an aggressive environment. So those kind of environment we have to select the concrete grade carefully. Higher the concrete grade is better the performance against the durability. Therefore, we have to determine the concrete grade correctly. Otherwise, there will be issues in the structure. Then we have to consider the loads applied on the foundation. So durability we have already discussed, shrinkage of the concrete, then slump of the concrete, all those are related to the concrete grade. So we have to consider all those factors I have mentioned here when we select in the concrete grade or the finalizing the concrete mix. How to determine the concrete mix or the concrete grade? Depending on the exposure condition. Now we firstly determine the exposure condition. So if you know the exposure condition, then we can finalize the concrete grade based on that. So as we discussed previously also, so we have to consider other factors like load, applied load, and all those. So in addition, we have to consider this exposure condition. There we firstly select following: concrete grade, water cement ratio, median cement content, cover to the reinforcement. All those are interconnected. So we have to finalize all those together when determining the concrete mix or the concrete grade. When finalizing the concrete grade, it should have a minimum cement content. Struck based on the durability requirement, you may select the appropriate cover to the reinforcement, then water cement ratio. All those need to be finalized when you finalize in the concrete mix. What is the best concrete mix for the footings? There is no such a norm, but we have to follow the basic rules. So as we mentioned previously also, we have to follow a certain criteria. Exposure conditions, applied load, likewise there are many to consider. All those we discussed need to consider when determining the concrete grade for a foundation. But you have to keep in mind you have to use the structural concrete. Non-structural concrete should not be used for the foundation construction. Generally, in according to the BS or Euro code or say according to BS, so we are not going to, since we are not going to discuss about unit strength, so let's discuss about according to the BS. We consider grade 25 concrete as the structural concrete. So you have to consider concrete grade of grade 25 or higher for the footings. Lower grade has a durability issues, higher porosity, there will be issues in the foundation. Therefore, we have to be very careful on that. Foundation is the most important element in the structure because the foundation failure could lead to the failure of the whole structure. Therefore, considering all those factors, concrete grade should be finalized. and the minimum grade for the concrete shall be selected. Now exposure and the applied load on the foundations and the ground condition etc. We may be some but have some relationship with the concrete grade. With that you have to finalize the best suitable concrete grade for the foundations. With that we are in the today discussion. So today we discuss about factors affecting the concrete grade and how to determine the concrete grade or the concrete mix for the foundations. Thank you very much. Let's meet again for new video.